Welcome to this gamblingsites.org how-to video. Today we'll be providing you with our intermediate guide to surrendering in blackjack. It may seem like a confusing concept, and it may just be the least understood rule in blackjack. In this video, we'll explain the strategy behind it and the two different options for surrendering. First of all, surrendering is the option to give up your hand right after the initial deal is complete. In exchange, you forfeit half of your bet. The idea is basically to quit while you're ahead if mathematically your odds of winning the hand are just that bleak. Blackjack surrenders have two varieties, early surrender and late surrender. In both cases, the cost is half of your original bet. An early surrender is when the player chooses to give up on their hand immediately after the cards are dealt and before the dealer checks for a natural blackjack. This version of the surrender is the most desirable of the two because it's available regardless of whether or not the dealer was dealt a natural blackjack. The early surrender is far less common in modern casinos, but that's because of how beneficial it is to a player. According to the Wizard of Odds, an early surrender rule cuts into the casino's house edge by 0.63%. For perspective, changing a game's shoe from 8 decks to just a single deck affects the house edge less than that. The late surrender rule varies because it's not available until after the dealer checks to see if they've been dealt a natural blackjack or not. If the dealer did get a natural, then you can't surrender and you lose your whole wager. The house's edge is cut by more than half of 1% less when offering only a late surrender. Even though the edge is still so much smaller, it's still an advantage that's worth seeking out. So when should you use a surrender? We're going to break it down by the early surrender and the late surrender since the hands are actually different. You should always take an early surrender in 3 situations. First, if the dealer shows an ace and you hold a hard total of between 5 and 7 or between 12 and 17. Always hit if you have a hard total between 8 and 11. Second, surrender if the dealer shows an ace and you're dealt a pair of 3s, 6s, 7s, or 8s. As you may recall from our video on odds on probability, dealers with an ace as an up card very rarely bust, so even 8s are best surrendered here. Finally, always surrender when the dealer shows any 10 card and you hold a hard total between 14 and 16. For the late surrender, things are a bit different, but there are 3 situations where it's the best play. First, surrender when the dealer shows an ace and you hold a total of 15. The exception to this rule is if the dealer is required to hit on a soft 17, then you'll want to keep your hand and play it out. Second, always surrender when the dealer shows an ace or a 10 and you hold any total of 16. Third, surrender when the dealer shows an ace and you hold any total of 17. The exception to this rule, like our rule about surrendering with 15, is that you do not surrender if the dealer is forced to hit on a soft 17. There are 2 common mistakes that blackjack players make with the late surrender rule, and you can find those in the article this video is based on over on our website. We have plenty of additional videos and articles for you to make sure that you are the best blackjack player that you can be, including more within the intermediate blackjack section, so make sure to check out gamblingsites.org for even more on the game.